cool. So today we are going to be talking about a introduction to analytics. And my name is Mark Tossell. I'm a lead solution engineer. I am very lucky to live in Sydney, Australia, which generally is thought of as being lovely and sunny and warm, but it is the coldest winter day that I've ever endured in my life in the Sydney area. It's -2 Celsius or 28 Fahrenheit. So wearing the gold jacket today serves two purposes. Number one, it's always cool, as in cool but not temperature-wise. And number two, it's nice and toasty and warm. Well, who am I? So that's me on the left-hand side with my teenage son, Adam, and my wife, Christina, and a little Chihuahua cross Hunter. So I'm a dad. My background is mechanical engineering. Very lucky to have received the gold hoodie way back in June of 2017. I think I was the first gold hoodie outside of the continental United States. So I feel very honored and privileged in that respect. I'm a data wrangler, so I love data. Started my journey as a Salesforce admin and business analyst implementing financial services cloud. And then I fell into what was then Wave/Einstein Analytics and absolutely fell in love with data later in life. That was at age 48. I'm a Salesforce and Tableau speaker and evangelist. I love writing, and I'm also now the author of a YouTube channel. So got a lot of irons in the fire. Never a boring or dull moment in my world. My favorite quote is from Richard Branson: if someone offers you an amazing opportunity, but you're not sure you can do it, say yes, and then learn how to do it later. And that's pretty much how I've lived my life. So we're going to talk about CRM Analytics today, and let me just get it out there. I know we have this marvelous habit of continually rebranding our products. So when I started with it, it was Wave, then it was Einstein Analytics for quite a while. Then it was Tableau CRM for, I think, a couple of years. And then about a year ago, roughly, we rebranded it, I think, quite sensibly to CRM Analytics. So we're going to talk about what is CRMA, why do you need it? I'm going to give you a demo as well, because everybody loves a live demo. Imagine you're using Salesforce, right? It's the #1 CRM in the world. It's got best-in-class reports and dashboards. It's probably one of the main reasons that you bought it. It's working quite well. Why would you need CRMA, CRM Analytics, when you've already got Salesforce reports and dashboards? So what are you going to learn in my session? 3 things. Number 1, what is CRMA? Number 2, why do you need CRMA? And number 3, how do you use CRMA? I'm hoping also that we'll have some time at the end for questions. So firstly, what is CRMA? It is, number 1, it's embedded. It's an on-platform analytics solution for Salesforce. It gives you embedded insights within CRM. It infuses intelligence into the Salesforce user experience, and it provides a familiar UI and UX. So obviously you're not swivel chairing, you're not jumping out of Salesforce into a separate BI platform that looks and feels totally different login. It's a very familiar experience. Secondly, it's intelligent. And by that, we're referring to something that's very hot in the news at the moment, of course, which is AI, artificial intelligence or machine learning, predictive insights, I'll get that right, prescriptive guidance. And thirdly, the secret sauce is it is actionable. CRM Analytics, being on platform, takes advantage of the Salesforce action framework, a single record actions, bulk actions on thousands, tens, hundreds of thousands of records, and enabling the user to go from data to insight to action. So if someone asks you, what's the big deal about CRM Analytics? It's embedded, it's intelligent, and it's actionable. One quick thought I'm going to add here as well. There are other BI platforms that you can embed in Salesforce. for example, Tableau or some of our other enterprise BI platform competitors. But it's not the same experience as CRMA. CRMA inherits security and sharing from Salesforce. You drag and drop to embed it. You take advantage of all the richness and goodness of Salesforce. It's a much faster, simpler, easier experience, etc. So I just thought I'd mention that. Now I'm going to show you a slide that's probably the most complex of the slides that I'll show you today. And I wouldn't worry too much about diving into this detail. If you're like me, this is pretty cool. But the main aspect of this slide I wanted to focus on is that intelligence layer. So the advanced analytics platform provides that intelligence layer. Sorry? Yeah. Oh, I think someone might need to mute themselves. With some background noise there. Thank you. And then if you look up the top at all of our apps, sales, service, B2B marketing, field service, every one of those apps is enriched and empowered and enabled through the richness and the goodness and the intelligence of CRM Analytics. So hopefully you've got some understanding now, if you didn't before, of what CRM Analytics is. I think you'll understand better once we get into our live demo. And that's going to be, I think, the most interesting part of the call. Why do you need CRMA? You're going to have to, if you're a Salesforce customer, you have to buy add-on licenses, CRM Analytics Growth or CRM Analytics Plus that comes with the Einstein Discovery. You're going to have to take the time and effort or maybe engage a partner to implement and customize it. So, why bother? What's the point? Well, for many Salesforce customers, this is their existing Salesforce user experience. For many of them, Salesforce, it's powerful, it's flexible, but often it can be seen as a system of record. But what we do with CRMA is we turn that into a system of engagement. So again, we go from current state to intelligent state. And what you're seeing here on this page is actually very similar to what I'll show in our demo in a moment. We can see what's happening by combining Salesforce and external data, what may happen with Einstein predictions, why it's happening with transparent, understandable explanation, and what to do about it with an action framework that you can act from the point of insight. And if I just pause here, it's already obvious that this is extremely different to having to jump into a spreadsheet or an external enterprise BI platform with a different login and a different user experience. And to get from one to the other, even sometimes people are copying and pasting URLs or field values, etc. Customers are sometimes exporting Salesforce reports as CSVs, combining that data with other data, putting it into a data warehouse, and et cetera, et cetera. It gets very complicated and difficult. It doesn't have to be, not when you have CRMA. So why CRMA? Again, moving from a system of record to a system of engagement. This is where Salesforce gives back to the user. Users give a lot to Salesforce, entering data, etc., but they can get back those rich, actionable insights. They can make smarter, better decisions. They can bring external data into the Salesforce environment. They can go quickly from data to insight to action, be more productive, more efficient. They can have a richer user experience, and hopefully they can quit exporting reports into spreadsheets. So a few thoughts here under why a customer would need CRMA. And again, I'll move fairly quickly because I do want to get into the demo. So they want to have that customer 360 embedded in the Salesforce environment. They want to combine that external data with Salesforce data in that Salesforce environment in front of the user. They want to get away from spreadsheets. Maybe their Salesforce environment is highly customized and the data model is convoluted and complex, and really reports and dashboards, they've hit a ceiling. and they can't get the insights they need that way. Maybe they want predictive insights with machine learning. And then perhaps they have very complex business logic, data requirements, reporting needs that are really beyond the capability of reports and dashboards. I want to give you a quick real world story of I was a co-founder and a co-leader of a Salesforce and Tableau partner business. Led that business for 4 years, and one of our great customers was Redkite, not-for-profit organization. What they were doing is they were exporting about 20 Salesforce reports, bringing them into a spreadsheet every quarter. The reason they were doing that was to deliver a services delivery report to their board to show the social impact of what their organization was doing and what they were achieving. Now, the reason they were using a spreadsheet is because they had data spread across many Salesforce objects. They had very complex reporting requirements, and they had no other way to get the insights they needed. After a week's work, they were screenshotting that spreadsheet, putting the screenshot in a PowerPoint deck, presenting that to the board. So what the board received was a static screenshot that was at least a week old. It was very prone to error. It was very painful and difficult and challenging and time wasting. We worked with Redkite to implement CRM Analytics. We were able to create data sets that reflected their Salesforce environment and their requirements. And now they literally have those insights at the click of a button, and they're able to present to their board near real-time insights that they can drill into and slice and dice instead of giving them a snapshot of a spreadsheet that's at least a week old. And also a high-value resource has been freed up from that manual, repetitive, low-value work to really do things that are more productive. So that's just an example of what CRM Analytics can deliver. Now, I get asked this question a lot. What's the difference between reports, CRM Analytics, and Tableau? Before we get into this slide, this is not a decision guide. This is not something for you to take away and draw this really rigid line of demarcation between our analytics offerings. This is really just a high-level summary. It's a comparison just to get you started on that journey. And if you want to know more about how this fits in with your use case, feel free to reach out to me or to another one of our solution engineers. So reports, operational reporting, we call that. It's your go-to option for a quick win. They're quick to configure. Salesforce admins can manage them, but it's Salesforce data only. CRM Analytics is what I call Salesforce process intelligence. You want to quickly embed an action analytics in Salesforce. You're looking for easily embedded AI, and you're going to inherit Salesforce security and sharing. Tableau is an enterprise business intelligence platform for data exploration. Your insights are going to be shared between Salesforce and non-Salesforce users, and it's extremely flexible in how it fits in with the business intelligence, with the business technology stack. I will mention that many of our customers use both CRM Analytics and Tableau together. And if you're interested in that, I do have a blog post that I published recently, and that's at marktossell.com. How do you use CRMA? Well, rather than me talk you through this, obviously there's a ton of Trailhead modules out there on the subject. There's some great training videos. I've started a new playlist recently on my YouTube channel around how to master CRM Analytics. But the best way that I can think of for me to show you, for me to teach you, is to actually show you how it's done. So let's dive in here and let me give you an example of CRM Analytics. Now, what you're seeing on your screen at the moment, this is actually a out-of-the-box solution or package built on CRM Analytics, which is called Revenue Intelligence. But the backbones of what you're seeing is our CRMA platform. And I think you'll agree that this looks very different to your typical Salesforce homepage. Because yes, I do have some tasks and upcoming events, and I'm probably used to seeing that. But over here on the left, I have a dashboard embedded in Salesforce. This is where I log in every day as a user, and I have some very rich, comprehensive, dynamic, actionable insights that I'm actually going to use to guide my activity and my labors today in my sales role. And we've got some highlight metrics up here. We can see how I'm doing in my activities compared to the team and compared to my target. But what I'm really interested in today is I'm preparing for a forecast call, and I want to dive into my pipeline. Particularly, I need to understand how likely I am to close those deals in my commit forecast. Now, before, all this information was in Salesforce, but it was all over the place. I had all kinds of reports. I had opportunity list views. As well as that, everything was rearward looking. Nothing was forward looking. Nothing was predictive. It really wasn't telling me what could happen. It was only telling me what did happen. And it was also hard to find out why those things happened. Now, I'm just going to pause for a quick second. Jade, I see there's quite a few messages in the chat. If any of those are questions, that's awesome. I'll get to those at the end of the session. So feel free to continue to post questions there in chat. So what I can see here, I can see a breakdown of my pipeline by forecast category, a trend over time. But I see, as well as that, something super interesting. I now have predicted likelihood to close, and I've got a prediction around where my deals will end up. So in other words, those in qualification, as you see here, some may end up being won, some may end up being lost. Let's dive into that a little bit. So I'm going to drill into my commit forecast, and all I have to do is just click on that segment. And now what I can see is a breakdown of all of my open deals that I've placed in a commit forecast category, and I can see how likely they are to close. And I also have an insight into which deals I'm likely to lose and which deals I'm likely to win. Now, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize that I'm in a bit of trouble, because I've got 307 out of 459K of deals that, according to the AI and the machine learning, I'm actually likely to lose. Now, how does the platform know that? Well, to look at it simply, machine learning and AI, we're learning from historical data. We're identifying patterns in that historical data and using those patterns to make intelligent predictions about the future. It's not a crystal ball. It's never 100% accurate. Of course, there are so many unknowns, so many different factors, but it's way more insight than what I had before, which was essentially nothing other than gut feel. So as I look at the deals I'm likely to lose, let's drill down into those. Now I'm getting some really helpful insights. I can see a little bit of information down the bottom here about those opportunities, when they're closing, the amount, and those that I'm likely to lose. There are actually 3 of them. Of most concern is this one here, which is the Omega Inc. new business. Now, at this point, if I were in another BI platform outside of Salesforce, I suppose I'd be screenshotting this and sharing it by email with my manager or my colleagues or whoever that may be. I might be copying and pasting the opportunity name into Salesforce from my BI platform or from my spreadsheet. I've seen customers copy and paste information from here and opportunity URLs into spreadsheets. But because we're in CRM Analytics, because this is embedded right here in my daily flow of work in Salesforce, it's way easier. All I've got to do is click on this button here, and that's going to open up my record action menu. This is very much customizable. And what I have here, which our administrator has configured for me, from here I could create a new quote for this opportunity, a new task. I could schedule a call. I could call the customer and then log directly from here, post to Chatter. But what I'm going to do today, I'm going to open this record, and that will take me into an opportunity view. Now, you've all, I think, seen an opportunity record before in Salesforce. Quite often, you're going to have a view like this. You've got information around the forecast, probability, the account owner, etc. But because we have CRM Analytics, we have something a lot richer, a lot more helpful, a lot more insightful. We have kind of the nirvana, as it were, of CRM, that the end state that I think every customer wants and not a lot of customers really have, and that is we have an opportunity and an account 360 right here in Salesforce, pulling data from many different Salesforce objects, using machine learning to surface things like propensity to buy and predicted revenue, and also incorporating external data. So, for example, this NPS score is not data that's found in Salesforce. We're capturing that NPS in an external survey platform, Qualtrics, and we're able to bring that Qualtrics data into our dashboard on a record page via CRM Analytics. Now, as an end user, I don't understand how that's done. I don't really care how that's done. All I know is I have the information in front of me that will enable me to do my job efficiently, productively. I can see in one view, I can see our trend and forecasting, actual versus planned business. I've got a nice quick summary view of the pipeline. For example, I can see it's changed 23% on a year-over-year basis. I can see what products I might be ready to recommend to the customer. I can see an account health score, activities, engagement, etc. What is of particular interest to me today are two main points. One is here in this dashboard, and one is over here in the machine learning insights panel, which I'll get to in a moment. On the dashboard, I can see something that concerns me. I'm trying to sell 128K of new business to Omega Inc., but I can see here we have 4 cases that are new and aren't being worked on at all. And we have 6 cases that have been open for some time and are still being worked on. There's a pretty good chance that this customer is concerned about those and may not be super interested in buying 128K of new product from us until we get those service cases sorted out. So that provides great context for my next conversation with the customer. What I'm also seeing embedded right here on my Salesforce record, and again, I don't have to go into an external machine learning AI platform. I'm not having to reach out to a data analyst or a data scientist. Right here where I live and work in CRM, I can see predicted win likelihood, and I can also see roughly how long it's expected for this deal to take to close. So why is the predicted win likelihood so low? Why is it only 41%? Well, the reason is that the deal compete team has not been engaged, and we're likely, based on historical data, to lose this deal against our competitor. What is the best way to improve this? Well, yeah, it's kind of obvious, right? Engage the deal compete team, and we can see that's going to increase the likelihood to win by roughly 19%. Now, at this point, I could go away and try and figure out what's the best way to engage the deal compete team. Who is the deal compete team? How do we engage them? How do we set up a meeting? Maybe I need to create tasks and events in Salesforce. Maybe I need to email them, et cetera, et cetera. It could get quite complicated. But the beauty of CRMA is, again, we go from data to insight to action on platform because it's a platform solution in CRM. I have this down here, this engage deal compete team button, and this uses something called next best action. Essentially, next best action takes that prediction from the machine learning, It combines it with business rules and logic that we have configured to suit our organization. And then it kicks off Salesforce automation. Now, I'm going to pause there for a minute. Many Salesforce customers that I've spoken to, in my opinion, they're using Salesforce just at a fraction of its capability. It's kind of like going out and spending $500,000 on a Ferrari, and then you're only driving it on Saturday morning to the local shop to get bread and milk. You're never getting out of second gear. You're never getting over, 50 miles an hour or 80 kilometers an hour. You're just scratching the surface of what could be done. And that's how I think many customers are with Salesforce. And one of the reasons is they're not using Salesforce automation. They're using Salesforce to capture a lot of data. They're running a few reports. But what they should be doing is taking advantage of the automation platform that Salesforce provides. And that's what we're going to do here. I'm going to click on Engage, Deal, Compete Team. And that's going to kick off a Salesforce automated flow in the background. So that's done in 10 seconds. And now those tasks are created, emails have gone out, people have been invited, all kinds of clever stuff's going on in the background. And because of that, you'll see that the predicted win likelihood has gone up to 60%. So the machine learning, the AI has reevaluated this deal, and it's much more likely now to close. Now, I'm going to step out of my persona for a minute. There is a lot more goodness that I could show you as far as these embedded analytics. I could show you this intelligent view of your pipeline called pipeline inspection, an intelligent view of your accounts, Einstein account management. We could go in and we could look at our forecasting dashboard. And by the way, probably the biggest pain point I've identified with customers I've spoken to, hundreds of them in the last 7 years, is customers struggle with forecasting. It's very challenging. Doesn't have to be. That can all be done within CRMA on the Salesforce platform. But what I do want to do is I actually want to go in here and I want to show you CRM Analytics Studio, because I've shown you the front end, I've shown you the end user experience, and that's, it's awesome, it's great. But how does all that come to be? How does that get created? Well, the really cool stuff happens here in the CRM Analytics Studio. We can see our apps, and think of apps like a kind of like a folder, how you organize your data sets, etc. We've got our dashboards. We've got our reusable dashboard components. We can also access Salesforce reports here, by the way. We've got our lenses. Think of a lens as a combination of a query and a visualization or a table, just a way of exploring your data. We can even go in here and look at our AI machine learning models. By the way, those are built 100% with clicks, not code. We can look at our data sets, etc. So this is where we access, and this is where we build those rich insights that we then embed back into Salesforce. Now, I've favorited a few of these items for quick reference, and I've got an opportunity data set here I want to quickly show you. I'm going to click on that data set. And I do see there's a lot going on in the chat. If there are any questions there, which I hope there are, I think we should have a bit of time at the end for those. So I'll keep moving along at a reasonably rapid pace. So this is what we call a lens in CRM Analytics. And this is a tool, by the way, that's used not only by the analysts and the admins building the insights. This is also a way that end users can take analytics like what you're seeing here, and we can actually go in, we can click on a button, we hit that explore button, and that would take us into this view. We can slice and dice our data. We can save it for later. So I'm looking at a count of our opportunities. I could go in. I could also say, well, I want to know what is the sum of amount of those opportunities. I want to look at how these change over time. Well, that's great, but it's not a very helpful view. So let's go in here and look at all the different options we have around how we can visualize that. So this is a time view, a time series view. So let's Now let's pick a timeline combo. I don't really like having it split up like that. So why don't we go ahead and let's change the axis mode to dual axis. And now I'm beginning to get a bit of an insight into what our trending is like over time. I'm going to move our legend up to here, get rid of that header. I'm going to give this a title. This will be, let's say, deals, just for the sake of time today, deals over time. And what I can actually do is I can save this view for later. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to say deals over time. I'll save it just in my private app because I'm going to view this on my own. Now, what if I wanted to look at, let's say, for example, I only wanted to look at those that were open. So I'll say filter this lens by closed equals false. And you see now I've got a view of my open pipeline over time. So that's the way that an analyst, an admin, or even an end user can go into their data. They can slice it, they can dice it. You could also go in here and look at a values table where you can have just a record view of the individual records. You also have something in here that I really don't have time to show you, although I'd love to, and that is a view called compare table. And in our compare table, what we can do, we can actually go in and we can, we're able to add formulas. We're able to use standard functions. We can perform analysis like ranking and period over period really easily. Again, clicks, not code. So that's all well and good. We've looked at how we can drill into a data set, but what does a actual dashboard look like in CRMA? Now here you can see that this is the dashboard that we had embedded on our opportunity record. Now I actually don't have permission to edit this dashboard. You're not seeing an edit button here. And that's an example of how we can lock down securities and permissions for our assets so that only certain people can, obviously change them, etc. What I will do though is I'll clone this in a new tab because I want to show you what it looks like in the back end. So this is our dashboard editor view. And what we've got here on the left-hand side, we've got what we call our widgets. Those could be text, numbers, hyperlinks. We can add containers, filters, images, all kinds of goodness. What you're seeing here is we go into these different items or widgets. For example, this is that propensity to buy chart. And that's literally been dragged and dropped onto the page. So to give you an example of how that's done, let me go back to our deals over time and let me hit the back button. All right, let's say I want to embed this chart in our dashboard. So I've explored this and it is a very useful insight. I'm simply going to click to my designer, my dashboard designer. I'm going to go in here. I'm going to click unused. And there we have it. Now, what I would then do is I would save that. I could also go in, if I wanted to create, say, a new query. I have access to all of our data sets in here. This, again, is a very similar view to what you saw before, where I'm able to, drill into my data, analyze it, create visualizations. You've got a ton of options of the types of visualizations. You can get into mapping. You've got your waterfall and Sankey charts, heat maps, donuts, all of the functionality that you might expect. So you can give your end users a great experience. And that is how from there you would build out your dashboard. You would then save it. If it's already embedded, when you save it, it would automatically update in Salesforce. If you have not embedded it, it's simply a matter of going into your Salesforce environment, editing the page. That'll take you into Lightning app, and you can very easily drag and drop web content. Now, one thing I really quickly wanted to mention was about security. You can inherit the security and sharing of Salesforce. You do also have the opportunity to go in and you can build out you can build out custom security. I actually don't have the ability to do that because I'm not an admin in this demo environment, but you would just go in here and you can click edit, and I can show you over here how that would work in another environment. So if I go here and click on edit, that takes me into the back end of my data set, as it were. I can see where that data set is used. And what I have here is a security predicate, and this is where I can build out, if I wanted to, if I needed to, simple to complex custom sharing rules. Again, the easy way to approach that in many cases is to inherit Salesforce security and sharing. Now, the last thing I want to show you, so we have some time for Q&A, because I've given you heaps of goodness, hopefully, in the last 40 minutes. This is where we connect to our data. Now, what we can see here, if I go back into just one moment, let's go to this view. So we have our connectors here. I wanted to show you how you connect to your data. So this is where we manage the data side of things. This is where we ingest data, combine, transform data, and prepare it to push it back into a dashboard. You can also push those values, those predictions, those insights onto a Salesforce record. They actually don't have to go into a dashboard in Salesforce. For example, you could take that 60% likelihood to win and actually put that on the opportunity record itself, which is very, very powerful because that can be used to power automation. But if I wanted to connect to data, obviously I've got my local Salesforce environment, all of those objects, but I have the option to bring in data from other places. Very quickly, for example, we've got Redshift, we've got Dynamics, Google BigQuery, we've got Azure SQL, we've got PostgreSQL, SAP HANA, Snowflake, AWS S3, etc. And we're able to connect to those. We log in with our credentials, and then what we do is we build out something called a recipe. Now, a recipe, as you might be able to infer from the name, is where we take our data, we bring in those data sources, whether from Salesforce or elsewhere, we join them, we transform them, we can go in and we can aggregate, we can apply calculations, we can apply machine learning, we can join, as you see here, using your standard, left, right, inner, outer, etc. Once that's done, you schedule those to run, and that makes sure that your data is fresh and complete for your business users. So I've shown you an awful lot today. That what I wanted to end with, just before we get to the Q&A, I just wanted to share with you my contact details. So feel free to grab those. I'd love for you to reach out, give me some feedback on the session through LinkedIn, through Twitter, or through my work email. So Jade, at this point, I'm finished with the actual presentation, but I think we have 15 minutes left for questions. Is that correct?
Yes. Awesome presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
So our first one is from Anna. It's like a comment, but she said, "How can I love this 10,000 times?" The second is from Josh. He's asking, "Can you highlight how CRMA can help Service Cloud implementation versus Sales Cloud implementations?"
Yeah, that's a great question, Josh. Let me see what I can do here. If with the data manager, let's see. I wanted to show you very quickly what we have available as far as out of the box. There's a ton of out of the box analytics for service. Invoking a safe harbor statement, we do have coming up a really exciting solution similar to revenue intelligence, which I've shown you today, but it's called service intelligence. So it's a complete package that incorporates data analytics, machine learning, and AI in a really powerful out-of-the-box solution. My understanding is that'll be coming out sometime, hopefully by Dreamforce. These are what you get when you purchase CRM Analytics. You get all of these awesome templated pre-built analytics apps. Now, they may not meet 100% of your requirements, but they're a great starting point. So if I go in here and type service, you can see, Josh, that I've got quite a few options. So, for example, I've got field service analytics, social case analytics, analytics for emergency response management, right? But if we pick service analytics and go continue, you can see here the kind of insights that you're going to get from connecting to, I would suppose, primarily case data. But again, that can be customized to wherever that service data is stored. You're going to get information for your manager overview, analysis of open cases, service agent performance, etc. A lot more than that. There's a huge amount of content in here. You can see it's pulling information, like I said, from the case, but also tasks, users, accounts, pre-built dashboards, data sets, etc. And that's just an example. I think actually, if you were to go into YouTube and type, just search for Salesforce Service Analytics, I think you'll see a few example demo videos there. But there is an awful lot of rich content available for the service. And by the way, Josh, if you're the one who, I think you had the eye exam, I was concerned that you said you had your eye exam and then you were driving. So just a bit of a tease there. All right. Lucas. Let's see. All right. So he's just shared his LinkedIn details if you want to connect with him. How are external sources connected? So hopefully I've covered that already in what I shared, but you have a ton of options in where you connect to external data sources. That was from Ed. So you can build custom API connections. You can use those out-of-the-box connectors that I shared with you. If you have access to MuleSoft, then that opens up a whole new capability.
I actually have a
external places. Sorry?
I actually have a I wanted to rephrase the question actually. I didn't see any how about flat files?
Yeah.
You know, it's possible. I didn't see that in the options. That's why I knew you only went through a couple of screens. That's why.
Can you see where it says new data set?
Okay.
Is that coming up in your is it coming up in my screen share?
It is.
So it is, right.
I see it.
So
yep. Thank you.
See here, you've got you can use a Salesforce report to create a data set. You can connect to external data, Salesforce data, but here, like you said, maybe you've got a CSV file, you'll drag it here, you'll go through a very simple process, and then you'll create a data set. So some of our customers, for example, they'll have their targets not in Salesforce, but they'll have them in a CSV, and they'll want to upload those and then update them on a regular basis. And there are also some quite clever ways that you can semi-automate that process. For example, you could store the CSV in an S3 bucket and have CRMA check that bucket every day and automatically update that data set. Is that helpful?
Yes, thank you very much.
You're welcome. And Greg, I completely concur over the horror race car. Yeah, I'm a massive car guy. And what a terrible shame that would be to have such a beautiful car. Thanks for your positive feedback, Larry. Sully, how many years of data before these tools are effective? It's actually a very good question. I'm assuming that you're referring to the AI and the machine learning. What's interesting and what I don't have a lot of time to address is the fact that you've actually seen in here a number of machine learning tools being utilized. So what you're seeing here under the predicted win, that's Einstein Discovery Machine Learning. It's a supervised machine learning platform that you can customize and, if you understand the term, feature engineer or tune the models. You're going to need, generally, you're going to need several months of data for that, case by case. This here revenue trending, this is using a time series function in CRM Analytics. If this makes any sense to you, it's based on what's called the Holtz-Winters method. It's probably more a statistical analysis than a true machine learning, I suppose. And then you've got other AI in here, such as this opportunity scoring. Now, things like the opportunity scoring, that actually does not require a huge amount of historical data, but it just gets better and better over time. The more data that you give it, the more historical data that is there. What I always tell our customers is this: business intelligence is a journey for everyone. You always want to approach it with a crawl, walk, run approach. So let's say, for example, if you've got a rich Salesforce environment and you implement CRM Analytics, and in this case, what you're seeing, you implement the out-of-the-box revenue intelligence, you tweak it to suit your environment so everything's working well. You're going to begin with this dashboard. You're probably not going to have enough data for all of these charts and numbers, or what we call widgets. But even if you had the information around your pipeline, your cases, your activities, perhaps revenue trending with some forecasting, that would be incredibly powerful. Most of our Salesforce customers would not have that on an opportunity page. So you've got some great return on investment right there, right off the bat. That's your walk phase. Salesforce data, embedded analytics on a record page. Then you may continue to develop that out and continue to richen the data. And at that point, you might get to where you can build out some of this. Now, you may not have enough data yet for the machine learning and the AI side, but you're able to really drill into a lot of your opportunity data and begin to get a lot more value in that way. So now maybe you're in your walk phase. But as you're in your walk phase, you're continuing to develop your data, enrich your data, clean your data, add to your data. And then, I can't give you a timeline. I'll just throw a number out. Maybe, let's say 6 months or something. You're at the point where you deploy your first AI model. And now you're able to get these insights about how likely you are to win. You may not have enough information yet on how to improve this outcome. Maybe that'll be the next phase. But you're going from the crawling to walking to running. It's a journey. It's one, I think, of experimentation. But keep this in mind. We worked years ago with a university in America, and they wanted to solve the problem of predicting student success. They actually engaged a data science team for 6 months. And I cannot imagine what that cost, a small fortune. And they really didn't get terribly far. It was a very slow process. We engaged with that customer, and they said that in 6 weeks, we achieved more with the Einstein Discovery machine learning than they did in 6 months for the data science team. It doesn't mean that Einstein Discovery is better or is designed to replace the data science team, not at all. But in some use cases, in many use cases, in fact, you're able to very quickly get up and running, start building out your models, start improving them, get some initial insights. It's very quick as a platform, as a no-code approach. Again, short answer to a fabulous question, but hopefully at least, Sully, that gives you some idea.
No, that was a great answer. I mean, graphically, it's all beautiful. Obviously, the more data, the better. I think basically what I'm hearing is in as little as 6 months, you can begin to get some predictive realities, depending on how much data you've got in that 6 months, obviously. But yeah, the crawl, walk, run, and tweaking along the way. Yeah, it makes perfect sense, but it looks great. Thank you.
No, you're welcome. And again, I'm asked that question on almost every demo that I give on this subject. So that's a great question. Jade, we've got 4 minutes. Is there anything that you wanted to share at the end? I thought I might just quickly mention my YouTube channel, if that's all right.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So and maybe we can share links later on to some of the learning resources. But my YouTube channel is Coffeelytics, as in COFFEELYTICS. And I've just started a new series recently on mastering CRM Analytics that may be of interest to you. And again, I'd point you to Trailhead, tons of great learning there. There's some really good playlists on YouTube, some great blogs. Actually, what I'll show you while I've got my screen sharing, and jump in while I'm doing this if you want to. Jade, I just was going to share my site because I have on my site, I did mention Tableau and CRM Analytics better together. There's that article there. But here's a blog, and I will stick the link in the chat. This blog here gives you a bunch of links to different learning resources on CRMA. Back to you, Jade.
Yeah, thank you so much for all the links. I will post it after. But if you could stop sharing your screen, can we take a group picture real quick? I'll wait for everyone to get on camera.